This is The Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. Each episode, we sit down with colleagues, leaders, and changemakers to share stories and lessons from the field of community and economic development. Together, we explore how communications shapes strategy, builds trust, and drives momentum, because every project, every partnership, every breakthrough begins the same way, with a conversation. Welcome to the Comms Exchange, where we explore the people and ideas shaping how we build, connect, and communicate. I'm Rachel Ledet.
And I'm Christianne Brunini.
Today on the Comms Exchange, we're going behind the spreadsheets into the side of affordable housing most people never get to see: the audits, the credit structures, and the compliance work that can make or break a deal.
We're joined by Amanda Roy and Alison Fossyl from Aprio, one of the country's fastest growing accounting and advisory firms, and a major player in affordable housing and public housing authority work.
Amanda is a partner in Aprio's assurance services practice, focused on audits for affordable housing and public housing entities. She spends her days inside HUD rules, REAC requirements, and historic tax credit deals, helping clients get clean audits and keeping those projects moving forward.
Alison is a partner in Aprio's real estate construction practice and serves as the firm's affordable housing and public housing authority practice leader. She advises developers, PHAs, and property managers on financial reporting, tax credit compliance, and exit strategies. And she's also serving as treasurer of the Women's Affordable Housing Network, championing all the women in this space.
This conversation is landing at a moment when public housing authorities are being encouraged to become more active development partners and strategic drivers in their community. Amanda and Alison are in the middle of that shift, helping public housing authorities and developers line up their numbers, reporting, and risk, which prepares them for this new entrepreneurial mindset. If you've ever wondered what your auditor wishes you would do differently, how REAC really looks from the other side of the table, or how to use credits and reporting to actually grow your portfolio,
then this is the episode to send your CFO and your board chair and your development team. Amanda and Alison, welcome to the Comms Exchange.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here today.
Amanda, when you look across the affordable housing and PHA portfolios you work with, what are the financial or regulatory pressures you see keeping your clients up at night right now?
So I think what we're seeing start to finish, everybody right now, getting deals from approval to close to place in service, it's been trickier the last couple of years. The margins are tight, keeping all the players happy. You've got your investors, the equity pricing, developers who are getting the financing. You know, we've seen a lot of heartburn in getting these deals penciled and to the close versus, say, 5-10 years ago. And the construction process, it's gotten a lot more complicated. You know, you've got these once in a lifetime weather constraints that we've seen, East Coast to West Coast, North and South, increased costs of materials and labor. And then, you know, it's just gotten where cost overruns are the norm now. Getting these jobs placed in service and rented up is usually a sprint at the end.
Alison, from your vantage point on the real estate and credit side, how are those same pressures showing up in deals? Where do you see them tipping a project from this works to this does not really pencil?
I see deals tipping when the equity price doesn't come in as planned, or the timing of the equity coming in gets pushed back, causing the deals to have to support more construction financing up front. Or there's a delay with HUD or RD, causing the financing to get delayed.
Ooh, I don't know about y'all, but it makes me sweat just thinking about all these problems. Amanda, from your audit chair, where are deals most likely to break down in practice? What are the repeat problem spots that you see in underwriting, documentation, or compliance that quietly derail these projects?
I think our clients are really seeing issues with the construction timelines and projections. Specifically, some of our clients in tower developments where, you know, it's an all or nothing for place in service. The construction delays can jeopardize first year credits, delay equity funding. an increased, burden of paying interest on the construction loans, extension fees, and, ultimately a possible loss of credits. That's really been a concern for a few clients of ours lately.
Allison, you have spent a lot of time on capital stacks and exit strategies. What are sponsors or owners still underestimating about the back end of these deals? And when do you wish they'd start planning for this exit?
Good question. And it's something that we should address up front. Document management and exit planning are critical for long-term success. Over a 15-year horizon, maintaining accurate and accessible documentation is essential, as gaps can create significant challenges. Exit planning should begin at deal structuring with early conversations, ideally around year 10 or 11, to align stakeholders and identify potential issues. Leadership at exit often differs from leadership at inception, and priorities may shift. Structuring deals thoughtfully and ensuring clarity and agreement language from the start helps mitigate risk and avoid confusion when it matters most.
I feel like that exit question is one that is so mysterious to so many developers because they've all maybe done 5 or 10 deals on the front end, but there's still that really scary thing on the horizon of what does that look like and how do I get ready? So I think this is going to be really important for people to hear, and certainly thinking through from an end of year perspective on all of these closeouts and getting contracts done and all of that pressure that's going on right now and leasing up at the end of the year during the holidays. I know everybody is thinking through these important issues. Amanda, as you live in the world of HUD rules and REAC, where do you see REAC and other requirements genuinely slowing projects down? And where are PHAs or owners making things harder on themselves than they need to?
So the first part of that, unfortunately, we've seen a tremendous amount of changes in leadership at HUD, USDA, RD, all of these government agencies in the last few years. And the original players, they knew everything. They had this institutional knowledge of how things worked. And unfortunately, a lot of the newer people, as great as they may be in some ways, they just haven't been there for throughout these decades to have that amount of knowledge. And it can be very difficult and frustrating for the developers, for our clients to get somebody on the phone and get the answers the way they used to. You used to have that direct line and it was just so easy. Our advice is just communicate early and often. Try to get these issues resolved in a way that you can. I think it also involves learning their staff, our staff, the client's team. Everybody's learning part of this. But to answer your question on what the clients are doing that are kind of making it harder on themselves, antiquated software. And it's a difficult conversation. It's difficult for these clients because the better the software is, the more expensive it is, But if they're not utilizing technology, it slows the audit process on our end for everyone. And it bogs down their team as well. With our more manual clients, their team spends a lot of time pulling information for us. So it just makes the process that they have to go through every year with us, which we want to be a good experience for them. It makes it more difficult and more time consuming with an older software. So definitely getting them to the point of updating their technology is going to make things so much easier on their end.
That was such a surprising answer to me. Do you have certain softwares, and I don't know if you want to say that here, but certain softwares that you do recommend for?
Do have a couple, I'll maybe hold off on throwing some of the names out, but there's some really good industry software. Getting to a good cloud-based system that we can access, it streamlines that back and forth so much. And we really see the difference in time, in hands-on time that we need, that our clients team needs when we have a more manual, older software client group versus a really snazzy, cloud-based system where all their documents are attached. We have easy access. There's a big difference in that. And unfortunately, a cost comes along with it. So it can be a difficult trigger to pull.
I'm also curious about navigating that sort of historical knowledge loss. Have you seen any creative ways that people are now aggregating new information or creating new points of contact that are that might help someone else who's in that position navigate that?
I think when you can find somebody who can help you get something done, you're definitely, protecting that contact information, not giving it out so much. But I think one of the things that I have recently been on a call with the state of actually the Georgia DCA team, and there is, again, newer groups, younger groups coming up. I've seen that they're putting multiple people in some of these conversations. So you may get on the phone with one person who is maybe able to answer your question, but maybe there's other people in the room there that are learning these things. So, it's part of it with a industry that's been around for decades. All of those initial players are slowly retiring, well worth it, and hopefully they've left good footnotes for their new team.
And certainly the power of networking in your state's affordable housing network, which almost every state has. And there's also the national conferences that people are attending to kind of get allies in the field who maybe have been through some of these things before. I'm assuming is a good way to kind of figure out some of these unknowns, or at least connect to people who can help you figure out the unknowns.
There's power in number, right? And so I think that getting opportunities to speak to some of these new people and discussing where you're at in projects, what you can do, how to be proactive is going to definitely help form those newer relationships that are hopefully going to make things easier for the new government employees down the road.
I do want to ask a question just about the consulting side of where you see clients who are having like software challenges, and if you ever get involved with helping identify the gaps that someone might be dealing with and maybe recommending for them software upgrades or something that on the back end might actually save them consulting rates because you're not having to do so much manually. Do you get into conversations with your clients about what sort of efficiencies they could be looking at or at least planning for in their futures?
So, we have to be so careful because these are yellow book audits and we're held at a higher level. And so, we can't come in and specifically try to step in management's shoes and make those decisions, but we definitely do have conversations about what we're seeing, what softwares, providing them with an opportunity to learn more about different software. And I think even some of it really is just upgrading the software they have. They may just be in such an older model that there's better and newer models to stick with the same company. And that's really where we had I specifically had a handful of client groups that went through a conversion in the last decade or so, but they really stuck with the same vendor. They just upgraded to a more advanced system. And again, I think it's one of those things where the industry is very large, but it's also very small. And I think there's a lot of discussion going on by a lot of these developers with their other developer friends at these conferences, because we have seen a lot of our clients make a transition to a more cloud-based, fully integrated system. It also helps with their document management. They're scanning everything in. Their on-site property managers are scanning documents in, uploading everything. It provides a lot of convenience for them as well on a daily basis.
Yes, I can definitely see how that could be hugely beneficial in the long run. Alison, if you look 5 years out, what changes do you hope to see in how public housing authorities and affordable housing developers are using audits, financial reporting, and data, not just to clear their compliance, but actually to help them drive business growth?
I'm excited for what the future brings. I know our firm is at the forefront of continually looking at AI and what it can do. I think over the next 5 years, technology and AI will fundamentally transform the audit profession. Audits will evolve beyond compliance to become more strategic tools, enabling real-time trend analysis and faster data-driven decisions. AI will open new opportunities to synthesize data quickly and efficiently, creating insights that were previously unimaginable. So for instance, for clients with large portfolios, this means the ability to review operating metrics across properties and geographic areas, helping both property management and asset management teams optimize performance. Investors will benefit as well, estimating cash flow payments, identifying operational issues, and making smarter decisions with greater speed and accuracy. The future is exciting. I mean, just look at how Copilot has already revolutionized the way we analyze partnership agreements. This is just the beginning of what technology will make possible.
So excited to hear Aprio embracing AI and not being afraid of it. I think a lot of companies just haven't, they're still deciding, is this something I want to throw myself into? Or is this something that we need to continue to wait and see? Is this going to impact us? Or being afraid it's going to reduce the labor? We certainly think in our position that it is an augment. It is not a deficit to leverage AI. And so I'm excited to hear that answer from you. I think particularly in the asset management, just seeing all of these databases and how once you layer them, you can really start to see how efficiency could be improved. And so I think from where I sit, it seems like asset management is going to see the benefit first, because it's where I think it's hit the hardest when you can't see the gaps.
I think it's going to really, like I said, revolutionize the way that we look at the data, and it'll allow these property management companies and developers make a lot more decisions quickly.
So Amanda, this show is all about communication, right? So what makes for a good relationship between a client and their auditor, and what are the communication breakdowns that immediately raise red flags for you?
So I think the best relationships that I've had personally with my clients have been those that involve a lot of communication, right? So not just good communication, also bad communication, but just frequent communication. Definitely from our standpoint, when we can be brought into the conversation earlier, then it's better for us. We want to be able to navigate issues with clients, whether they're good, whether they're bad. The biggest concern or the biggest problem we have is when we're not notified. When the communication, and maybe that's on us sometimes, that we've not put ourselves out there to let the client know, hey, you need to come to us earlier with these types of things. But we want to be the first person the client calls when there's a problem. And also when there's something good, we want to be the first ones to celebrate with them, because we always do feel like we're really a part of their team. But, if we can't help directly, we want to facilitate finding somebody who can help them. And I think, again, just, some of the times where we've had issues have been just a complete lack of communication, right? Because we're finding out things on the back end. Sometimes we can help alleviate problems. Sometimes we can help, when we know up front, but sometimes we get too far into an issue and we can't come back from it. So just frequent and often communication.
I think you actually have your own sort of conference or training program for your clients that can help facilitate some of those questions and bring that forward. Is that not right?
We do. I mean, we're kind of small and getting going with that, but really trying to provide our clients with Alison kicked off this amazing idea a few years ago, but we've been doing developer forums. We bring our developer clients in a couple of times a year, have a great speaker who really talks about something that's important in the market at the time. It's just been a great opportunity to get good questions. And I think too, just to let our clients know, we're here to talk about whatever, anything and everything. And if it's not something that I know the answer to, which, quite honestly is the case a lot, we've got other people, if you call me with a big tax question, I'm not going to be able to help, but I know who is down the hall and can help. So yeah, we want to be the first ones called.
Well, I think a lot like this podcast, it creates a space for those conversations to happen. So I think that's a great thing that you guys offer.
And, Alison always says that we're a big firm, but we really have the feel of a smaller firm. And I think because we all came from different backgrounds, we're bringing different talents to the table. But, when you go to the grocery store and you see your clients there, you don't just communicate about the work all the time. There's a little bit of that extra, family friendly type relationship that I think we have with a lot of our clients.
That's amazing. And when people feel more comfortable with their consultants or vendors or business partners, it obviously leads to better connection and better accountability to each other to continue that communication. So I love that answer. And just being able to talk in the grocery store, that's kind of the epitome of like close relation, right? I'm going to switch, Allison, to talk a little bit about your leadership role supporting women in the affordable housing sector. How has that shaped the way that you might mentor or advocate inside of a firm like Aprio and across the affordable housing industry? And what do you want the next generation of women on the number side of affordable housing to hear about or to know about from you?
I believe the most important advice is to discover what truly ignites your passion and then chart a path toward where you ultimately want to be. Work should be meaningful and fulfilling because we spend so much of our lives doing it. My goal is always to create an environment where people feel valued, empowered, and inspired to strive for excellence every day, where work and life are about purpose and passion. Equally important to me is being an advocate and sponsor for women in our industry. That means ensuring their voices are heard and their contributions recognized by leadership, so they are known for the incredible work they do and the potential they bring. I make it a priority to put them in the room for critical conversations with clients and partners and to open doors to opportunities, whether it's serving on boards and committees, joining organizations like National Women in Affordable Housing, or participating in new business proposals. For me, leadership is about lifting others up and creating pathways for the next generation to thrive.
So you're really taking the time to bring people in to conversations they might not automatically be part of so that they can kind of test the waters, maybe connect with someone new on the client side, and giving experiences as a form of education and opportunity. And so maybe give us just a little bit more about something that would happen in like a real life scenario with one of your team members that maybe got to participate in something that was new to them.
Yeah, I just remember in the older days when there wasn't as much of working from home or remote offices, you would walk down and you would sit in the partner's office and they would call a client and you would be sitting right there with them. So I kind of try to bring that experience that I have that shaped my career and where I am today. So I try to bring other women with me to visit clients or to talk to clients on the phone to just kind of see how it starts and let them engage with clients. I think the more you bring other people along with you, the more you lift them up and allow them to have that feeling that they can take control of their careers as well.
It's a great answer.
Such an important point. And Amanda is actually on the Magnolia One book club group. She's participates with us, and I know she spends a lot of time and taking copious notes. She's such a fantastic note taker as we go through professional development books, and so thoughtful about how she brings those things back into real world circumstances. Can you give another example, Amanda, of how that's worked for you and how you've mentored others through that process?
Well, our office is still very much in person most of the time. And, sometimes it's a little bit of one of those things, if you don't put it on your calendar, it doesn't happen. And I've really gotten to where I try once a month to take a different employee to lunch. And, I like the girls because I'm a very girly girl. And it's funny you brought up the book club, because one of the things that I've gotten really excited about in reading those books is I try to then, kind of impart some of that knowledge and wisdom. I'm always really good at giving out advice if nobody's asked for it. But it's great because we get to go have lunch, and I just like to ask, how are things going, professional life, personal life. I get really too nosy, probably more than I should, but then also bring it back around to the professional stuff and what are they excited about that we're doing in the office? What do they want to do more of? And then, I'm always like, and I just finished this book and here's something really cool that they said. But I do think just it's important to me, and putting it on the calendar and saying, hey, we're going to go have lunch. And it's just going to be us talking about whatever. And let's talk about where you think your career is in 5 years and where you think it is in 6 months, and, that type of stuff. But being very intentional to provide that, because I think especially now younger ladies, they want that. They're craving that mentorship, and it's not just a buzzword. It is something that's very important to them. It's very important to me. And so I think just being very intentional makes me feel like I can achieve the goals that I set for myself and being that person to other people.
Well, and so much of mentorship is time. And so I love the idea of just setting a calendar appointment to make sure you're spending time with people, because there really is no greater gift than spending time with someone. And I think we all kind of live and die by our calendar, right? So, I tell our team too in jest, but it's like if we really want something done, put it on my calendar, because then at least we know we're checking and we're doing and we're holding ourselves accountable. So that's a great answer. We're going to continue with a few more fun lightning round questions. That's one of our favorite parts of our podcast, because we just love to pick your brains and get your gut reactions to some of fun questions. So, Alison, here's your question. Spreadsheet, whiteboard, or on a run, where do your best ideas land?
You asked the wrong person. Definitely on a run. I normally run every morning before work, and it's kind of where all the best thoughts come as you're like running along the road, and it's like things are popping into your head. So definitely the run.
Then it was the right question for you.
It was the right question. I feel like I got picked the right one.
Okay, the two of you make rounds on the conference circuit a lot. I'm seeing you everywhere all of a sudden. Amanda, what is in your conference survival kit? What is always in your bag?
Always in my bag is a phone charger and a laptop charger, not for myself, but for Alison.
Mm-hmm. I need a phone charger at all times.
Here.
Like if I go below 80%, I'm like, I'm about to die. I got to plug it in. Allison's like, I'm at 2% and we have 5 hours of dinners ahead of us. Let's go. Let's see what else. Band-aids for blisters on the feet, wearing high heels all the time. Probably need to get a pair of Rothy's like Alison has. But I think one of the things that I love is having an outfit that I feel confident and comfortable in. Going to actually get my colors done based on your amazing episode about that. So I'm looking to get that scheduled for sometime in January. But I think also the other thing that I feel like you can't travel without is like a really good sleep mask to block out all of the light to sleep good at night.
Well, I love that you heard our episode about the color analysis and styling, because we talk about it with our friends who do it and with each other. And Chris and I are photographed together a lot. So we also talk about color a good bit, because sometimes we've got to be in the same places. So I love that you listen to that. It's so much fun. So I can't wait for you to tell us how you experience it. What you think about it. And, I'm just going to put a plug right here for any like product designers who might be listening, that a really great pair of heels that you can wear all day without blisters is a product line that, being advertised to a little bit on social media, but I don't think they've quite arrived at the right shoe yet. So, just putting it out there, that if anyone wants to, talk to this group about a great pair of shoes that could work for conferences, we'd be open to the R&D discussions on that topic.
I've got a new idea. Mine is that you always wear tennis shoes, like trendy tennis shoes, or as Amanda said, I'm on a new kick of the Rothy's loafers. So I don't have great feet and my feet always hurt, and those don't hurt. So they're pretty awesome.
Okay. I'll have to check those out.
You definitely need to check it out.
Alison, if we opened your fun budget line item, what are you most likely to splurge on? Travel, food, concerts, tennis shoes, or something else?
Oh, see, once again, probably tennis shoes. It's really funny. It's always like a big joke around the firm, because I'll be like, oh, I'm going shopping. I'm going to find something for work. And I always come back with athletic clothes and some kind of fun tennis shoes. It's always, and if it's something that you can like wear on the weekends, but dress up with a good necklace on for work, it's always that as well. So yes.
Love that. Well, instead of like day to evening wear, it's like athletic to work wear is sort of the parallel, which, working from home, sometimes we can flip back and forth between our suits and our comfy clothes. So that's great. Well, Alison and Amanda, we can't thank you enough for being part of our conversation today.
Fantastic. Well, if today's episode helped you move your people and projects forward, please like and share the Comms Exchange with someone else who's helping build better communities. Thank you again. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to The Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on an exciting new episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies from the field, because every breakthrough begins with a conversation.